This is a hemispherical motor, so it's running hemispherical heads, which means that the air comes in, goes through the heads, and the spark plugs are actually down in the center.
Okay.
Rather than on a Chevrolet, they're down by your exhaust port. Now, when we accelerate, we literally, these butterflies will open up like this, and when they open up, it sucks the air in. This injector injects the air into the supercharger. The supercharger forces the air down into the pistons. When you force air down into the chambers, into the pistons area, the more air you put in there, the more fuel you put in. So we're burning methanol alcohol, which burns coal. In other words, the more of this alcohol, methanol, what we call alcohol, but it's methanol, what more of this methanol you put in the motor, the cooler it runs. The more air you put with the fuel, the more power it makes. It's just like anything else. So the more air, the more fuel, the more power. This motor produces like 2,700 horsepower on just alcohol.
And when you said when you start it up, you'll get frost on the engine?
Yes, this thing, this blower is sucking the air from the outside so hard that this cold methanol frosts all this up until you're in the pulling stage. It's frosting, but after you get it running, it's forcing that in there so much, and it burns coal. It's very flammable under pressure. Doesn't have a flash point like gasoline, because gasoline explodes. Methanol will kind of, like you can almost lay a match in methanol and it'll just crawl across it. But under pressure, it's like nitro. It's kind of like nitro. Nitro is more explosive than alcohol. But this motor then runs from out of here into what we call a slipper clutch, glide clutch, which is underneath this cowling. And as you give it gas, you can drive it around like an automatic transmission because the clutch slides in. As the more gas you get it locks up. This runs through a transmission into a modified truck rear end. It's actually a 106 Rockwell rear end, which is we went through Dana 60s and 9-inch Fords. We're making so much power now that the only thing we can use is a truck rear end. Because we turn these back tires at like 160 miles an hour.
That's amazing.
The object of the game is to pull this weight, a sled, which has a progressive weight box. The weight box, as you take off, starts moving forward onto putting more pressure on the pan. So we turn these back tires like 160 mile an hour, and you have so much power, you have to kind of drive it off the line with the throttle, so you give it more gas as you feel it hooking up to the track, and it will literally blow the tires away like a top fuel dragster. Then if you have what we call the perfect run, your weight will balance out to where you get the front end up in the air, where you've transferred all the weight to the back tires. And if you're lucky enough to pull the full distance, which is 300 feet, or now 320 in different places, if there's 25 vehicles in the pull, and 5 of them get past 300 or 320 feet, those 5 will come back and they will heavy the sled up again, and the object of the game is to see if you can get who can go the furthest. So it's a drag racing in the dirt type of sport. There's semi-trucks do it. It's just a really neat, it's one sport that the spectators can see from beginning to end. So, you know, if you're sitting at the 50-foot or the 100-foot or the 300-foot mark, you can see the whole pass. And they run, this is what they call a modified mini. They have modifieds, which might have 3 of these engines on it, which is a bigger tractor. Then they have the unlimited, which may have as many as 5 or 6 engines on it. And the weight of the vehicle increases as it goes up. They also have farm tractors. They have four-wheel drive trucks. They have two-wheel drive pickup trucks. But this vehicle here is probably the wildest of all to drive because it turns such a great tire speed, and it's a very short wheelbase vehicle.